citizens of the Nigelverse. Is Nigeria once again, and for the first time in a long time, welcome back to System Shock Radio. Yes, System Shock Radio has been on a bit of a hiatus for the past few weeks, mainly because life. Life is lifing sometimes, and that's just how it is sometimes. But nevertheless, we are indeed back, and we have got some topics for you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into it. If this is, of course, your first episode of System Shock Radio, welcome. If not, welcome back. But if you are indeed new here, we talk about a variety of things. We talk about pop culture, we do some pro wrestling, we talk about video games, other types of nerd stuff, we do some inspirations, so all kinds of stuff. So if that is your kind of thing, consider hitting that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get right into it. And also, worth mentioning, by the time this goes up, it will be my birthday. So drop the happy birthdays in the comments if you choose to. If not, no worries. But without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is that the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, immediately, wow, that's a record in terms of a botch. Only a minute and a half in, and I've already botched something. Oh, this is gonna be fun. But the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is not only do we have official dates for when those are coming out, but Xbox One has entered the chat. Yes, Xbox One, they were saying they were having technical difficulties when it comes to that, but those are all sorted, and so the Marvel vs. Capcom collection is going to be coming to Xbox One, and so that updates the list to Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Steam. Now, the Xbox One version won't be out until 2025, so unfortunately, we'll probably have to wait a while if you are playing on Xbox One. As for and it's interesting that it's Xbox One and neither of the Xbox Series consoles, but and nevertheless, or the PlayStation 5 for that matter. So previous gen, which is interesting, but nevertheless, which I mean, the Series S and X are cross-gen anyway, as well as the PlayStation 5. You can play like PlayStation 4 games and Xbox One games on there anyway, so it's not that big a loss. But the digital version, so that means the version in the PlayStation Store or Xbox Store, that is going to be coming out on September 12th, and the physical version will be out on November 22nd. So, a couple months difference between the digital version and the physical version, which is a bit interesting, but physical media takes time to actually create. I'm excited. I'm even more excited for this collection. Like I mentioned last time, I did coverage on the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Marvel vs. Capcom, not something I grew up with, but I know how much it means to a lot of people, and it'll give me the chance to go back and experience those games. But again, that's really quickly. If you missed when we talked about it previously, just to go through the games that are included really quickly, we have 7 games in total, that being X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and The Punisher. So quite the collection there, but nevertheless, if you are excited for the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, please let me know in the comments. But the next thing that we're going to talk about, speaking of games, we had some canceled games, or at least a canceled game. This is before Toys for Bob became independent, and split off from Activision and everything. Apparently, there was a Crash 5 in the works, and it was going to be a big one. So this is courtesy of MSN.com. And I'm gonna read an excerpt. I'm not gonna read the whole article, but I'm just gonna read an excerpt here. It says. A new documentary about former Activision developer Toys for Bob revealed that a Crash Bandicoot 5 starring Spyro the Dragon was canceled by Activision. Crash Bandicoot 5, the cancel Spyro crossover, and the Fall Crash Team Rumble, the video, which Liam Robertson produced for Did You Know Gaming, begins with a recap of the studio's history through Crash 4 It's About Time. One of the most notable revelations from this part of the video is that Crash 4 started development as an asymmetrical multiplayer game codenamed Lava and referred to as Wumpa League. After creating some single player tutorial levels for Wumpa League, the team pivoted to creating a single player adventure. It developed Crash Bandicoot 4 in just 18 months, working on Wumpa League on and off alongside it. Toys for Bob considered releasing Wumpa League around a year after the launch of Crash Bandicoot 4 as a free update for the game with microtransactions. And in 2020, Toys for Bob also created a pitch for a Crash Bandicoot 5 that would have been a direct sequel to It's About Time, reintroduced elements from Crash to Insanity like the Academy of Evil, and featured Uka Uka as the main villain. It also would have taken inspiration from Psychonauts, with Crash entering the minds of villains like Neo Cortex, Pinstripe, and Tiny Tiger for some of its levels. Most importantly, it would have crossed over with Spyro the Dragon. Uka Uka would use a portal to travel to Spyro's universe and corrupt some of its dragon elders. Crash and Coco would eventually make their way over to this dimension, befriend Spyro, and work together to stop Uka Uka. Sadly, this AAA Crash and Spyro 3D platforming crossover wouldn't make it past pre-production because Crash Bandicoot 4 did not meet Activision's high sales targets, as the publisher was hoping for sales comparable to Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. So, we were close. According to that article, we were pretty much on the cusp of getting not just a Crash 5, but a new wrinkle in the Spyro the Dragon chapter, a new use of the Spyro IP, but apparently it did not materialize, and it does suck. Now, sales are very important when it comes to games, and apparently, Crash Bandicoot 4 didn't sell as well as they hoped, as the article suggested, but it didn't do ultimately that terribly either. Like in certain regions, it was one of the higher selling games, and it received a lot of praise and a lot of acclaim. Hey, me personally, I've played Crash 4, and considering how difficult it is and some of like its art style and everything, it definitely feels like a Crash game, but I guess because the sales weren't where they wanted them to be, ultimately they pulled the plug. And sadly, that's happened to a lot of things. Not even just video games, but movies, TV shows, stuff like that, where they pull the plug on it if it doesn't reach a certain goal. I can't even begin to count how many movies left off with cliffhangers that were teasing sequels just for those to ultimately remain question marks because they underperformed when they came out, whether in the box office or with critical score or both, and more so with box office. Like critical score, we know hasn't stopped certain franchises before. It's all about the money. So, definitely take that into account. If you really don't like something, the best way to ensure that you never have to see it again is to not see it again, or maybe not even see it at all. Like the box office is the main thing that they pay attention to, even if the IP is absolutely atrocious. In a lot of cases, they'll continue to milk it as long as they know they can profit off it. And with Crash 4, and actually we've seen that with good things as well, where they don't get continuations because they underperformed within the box office. And it looks like Crash and to an extent Spyro have suffered the same fate. Now, with Toys for Bob being independent, will this mean that we'll see a return of Crash and Spyro? guess only time will tell. And I guess they did end up getting their sort of Wumpa League game because they did come out with Crash Team Rumble, and that pretty much did have a lot of the elements for that Wumpa League game that ultimately I guess didn't come out. So I guess it metamorphosized itself into Crash Team Rumble, but it's such a shame because like hey, reading that article and seeing those ideas, those would be kind of interesting ideas. So now, how how Crash going into people's minds, that was something in Crash to Insanity that happened at the end of Crash to Insanity, where Dr. Cortex tried to erase Crash, but then Crash ended up inside his brain, and so it wouldn't be totally unfamiliar, and I think that would be an interesting idea to play around with. But then you also have them joining over with Spyro and everything. I feel like it'd be, I feel like the ideas would kind of clash a little bit, but kind of an interesting idea to play around with because that was a major part of Psychonauts. But the thing also that you have to keep in mind about Psychonauts is that at had it wasn't just about entering people's minds. It was also the humor and everything as well. The humor, the story, and the gameplay were also fun. Not saying Crash's gameplay isn't fun, but just having the idea is half the battle. It's all about the execution, and sadly, we won't get to see that execution when it comes to that. But I guess we can dream for now. As I still I guess perhaps a fool's errand to hold out hope for a Spyro 4 or another game in the Spyro series, or I guess another game in the another proper Crash platformer at this point in time. But I guess you never really know, especially again now that Toys for Bob has gone independent. But next up, we next up, whew, next up is gonna be a doozy. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a doozy. Not one, but two cases of domestic violence within the wrestling world. One more alleged, the other a bit more concrete. So, just a bit of a warning, a bit of a trigger warning. It's probably gonna get really uncomfortable what we're about to talk about, but I figured it would be interesting to talk about whether to raise awareness is more so discuss what's going on with that. So let's get into it. So, well, first there was the situation with Artem Chingvintsev. I know I butchered that. Had pretty much Nikki Bella / Nikki Garcia's husband, and he was arrested on August 29th and booked on domestic violence charges. And this is courtesy of E Online, which I mean, take it with a grain of salt. So I'm gonna read an excerpt here. Dancing with the Stars fans are learning more about pro Artem Chingvintsev's arrest. This includes reactions to him being booked at California's Napa County Department of Corrections on a charge of felony domestic violence August 29th. One day after Chigvintsev was arrested and then released from custody on a $25,000 bond, a rep for his wife, Nikki Garcia, with whom he shares a 4-year-old son, Mateo, addressed the incident. This is a private matter, the former W Stars rep told E! August 30th, and Nikki asked for privacy for her and her family at this time. There is that aspect, but sadly, privacy doesn't always happen within the confines of the internet. And so a lot of people are speculating. There's reports now that Nikki Bella / Nikki Garcia, I might just call her Nikki Bella. I might interchange between the two, but Nikki Bella might be seeking divorce. Apparently, Brian Danielson has also unfollowed him over this, and more and more details of what happened are still very much emerging. And now, it's worth mentioning, very heartbreaking and very disappointing. Domestic violence is always a very, very touchy subject, of course, and I hope justice is served, and I hope wherever the truth lies, and the thing is, the second one we're gonna get into is a bit more vague in a way, but this one seems to have more confirmed details. Hopefully, justice is served, and he, um, hopefully the fullest extent of the law is carried out. But the second one, and it was just as big. The thing about Nikki Bella slash Garcia is that she's no longer with WWE, and so because of that, not really happening on WWE soil. It's more so because she was involved with WWE and her and Arden, which they of course met, danced together. They were dance partners on Dancing with the Stars, and then got into a relationship. They got married and everything. But this next one that we're talking about happened closer to home for WWE, right on home soil, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the Odyssey Jones situation. So, it was reported on Monday that Odyssey Jones was removed from the Raw roster and removed from the internal roster, no longer listed on the active roster on WWE.com, and it happened. It just so happened to happen after, or a photo was posted on Twitter by the WUSA Twitter, showing like the Raw roster and showing Odyssey Jones pictured in between the New Day, because he was active in the storyline with the New Day, pretty much kind of in a way being kind of a replacement for Big E that would lead to tension between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and then go from there. But Odyssey Jones was removed from the internal roster, and now the reports are coming out that he has been removed from WTV and possibly fired by WWE, and at first a lot of people were questioning why. A lot of people were wondering why that was the case, and then it came out that that is because of alleged domestic abuse was happening with Odyssey Jones, which is why he was released almost immediately, pretty much immediately when these allegations came to light, and it is worth mentioning that this is still an ongoing matter, and thus these are still allegations for the time being. So I am going to be treating them as allegations for the time being, at least until the full story comes out, until all the details are released. For now, these are allegations, and I feel it would be irresponsible to jump to conclusions right away while we're still in the phase of allegations. That being said, though, if these allegations are false, then hopefully he'll be able to come back to TV. Hopefully he'll be cleared of everything. But if these allegations are true, then again, very disappointing, very heartbreaking. Him being released was the right call, and hopefully justice is served once again. And that's kind of how I try to view things when allegations come out. And I know there's going to be plenty that disagree with me on that, and that's totally fine. But I feel that, at least for me, it would be irresponsible to see allegations and immediately jump to conclusions without things unfolding. And that's not in support of him either, or I'm not supporting him at all at this point in time, but more so waiting for the information to come out. That's more so my stance on things. But next up, I guess in better news, apparently the plan is for Gunther to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk at Survivor Series. Now this is big. If this rumor is true, this is a big one. CM Punk has talked about wanting to go after World Championship gold, and now I guess he'll potentially have the ability to do so. But Gunther versus CM Punk at Survivor Series, I think would be interesting to see for a couple reasons. For starters, hers it'd be a year after CM Punk made his return to WWE, the return that no one thought would be possible. Hell, indeed, freezing over as CM Punk made his way back. But also, because I think a match between these two would be interesting. Both are more than capable of putting on a good match. But I think the feud would be where the real money is when it comes to this, because I think this would be a very interesting feud. There's a lot of different directions they can go with this. There's the obvious ones, that being Gunther bringing up CM Punk leaving, and how the mat is sacred and everything, and that CM Punk is older, or perhaps more, or more up there in age and potentially more prone to injury. At least that could be what Gunther hung up, and it would mirror a few of the things that Drew McIntyre brought up during their feud, which I imagine is likely wrapping up at Bad Blood. But there are some other alternate directions they can go. Gunther, seeing himself as more of a champion than CM Punk, having multiple multi-year reigns into with titles, with like the NXT UK Championship, and then the Intercontinental Championship, versus CM Punk just having the one, that being the 434 WWE Championship reign. Perhaps CM Punk this is gut check time. He lost in the Royal Rumble. He was out. Didn't make WrestleMania. Can he find it within himself to beat the Ring General? And just playing up on that and everything. And I think this has the potential to be a very interesting feud. And there's a few this is a feud you would definitely want and hope that they get creative with. Get as creative as possible with this feud. It'd be cool if they went the obvious route, but subvert expectation and make it an interesting feud. Like, this definitely has the potential to be an interesting feud. So how will things unfold as we move closer to Survivor Series? Time will tell. Excuse me, but I definitely would not be against this match. This would be something interesting to see, and having Gunther face like big names, former world champions, and within his first few months as World Heavyweight Champion, I think is the right call. Right now, he's in the feud with Sami Zayn, but having him face Randy Orton and now potentially facing CM Punk, I think really would help out not just Gunther, but the title reign as well, and especially with the title reign. Gunther's already on the way to being a made man with his Intercontinental title reign and him as NXT UK champion, but especially for the world title and the world championship, to give that title, as it's a bit of a newer title, only about a year or so in, at least this iteration of the World Heavyweight Championship. Admittedly, whether or not this continues the continuity of the original World Heavyweight Championship, it kind of dips in and out, kind of like how the Incredible Hulk dips in and out of MCU canon. But yeah, so I think that would be an interesting feud. But let me know what you guys if you guys would be interested in seeing that feud as we move towards Survivor Series. But the last thing I want to talk about is a question. It's a question I want to pose to you, and I want you to really think about. And I'm sure it's a question you've been asked before. I'm sure it's a question that you've had to think about before. But I really want you to think about it, especially here, and that is, what does success mean to you? You know what? I wasn't going to, but let's look up the dictionary definition of success. And there's actually two, that being the accomplishment of an aim or purpose, and a archaic definition meaning the good or bad outcome of an undertaking. And now, I especially want to tackle that first definition, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. For a lot of people, that means a lot of different things. Things for some people, well, their success is financial. Well, for some people, their success is contentment. They want to be happy. They want to be content with their lives. For some, success is about growth, where they're not the same person they were yesterday. For some people, success is having a family. Being a part of family. For some, success is being involved in other people's success. As my success comes from your success, as where or because we're connected, we're end up both successful. When one of us wins, all of us wins essentially. And you know what? Nothing wrong with any of those versions of success, because success means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Well, the thing about success is it means something different for each person, because it oftentimes boils down to what we value and what we as people strive to accomplish. I know for me, success is wanting to be happy, wanting to accomplish as much as I can in life. Am I going to accomplish every single goal in life? Probably not. But to at least accomplish most of those goals in life, and to be happy doing what I'm doing, and to be doing something that I feel is fulfilling, and being able to really have something that I accomplish, having several accomplishments in life, and to continue the process of growth, and to have and to really impact as many lives and as many things as possible. That for me is success. That's really my definition of success. As being able to say, I accomplished this, I did this, despite all the hurdles and obstacles in my way. I did this, I made this work, and I made this happen. That is definitely how I would measure success. But like I said, success means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I want you to ask yourself and answer the question. You don't necessarily have to tell me, but if you choose to, that's fine. But I want you to ask yourself, what does success truly mean to you? But with that, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. And let me know in the comments below your reaction to anything I talked about in this episode. And then drop the birthday wishes in the comments. Again, if you choose to. If not, totally fine. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.